You wake up convinced your talent and hard work will be rewarded. Meanwhile, in the shadows, someone quieter, more calculating, more patient just took the promotion you felt you earned. The world does not reward the righteous or the diligent. It rewards the ruthless, or at least the ruthless aware. You exist in a world divided in two, those who learn the real rules of power and those crushed by them. Those who study the rules survive. Those who survive eventually dominate. This is law 1. Never outshine the master, it means. Never let those above you feel overshadowed by your brilliance. Never present yourself as the sun when you should stay a shadow in visceral terms. This is the intelligence that lurks behind the scenes, solves the problem quietly, makes the boss look like a hero, and avoids the blowback when someone else's ego flares. Before we go deeper, understand this. These principles exist whether you know them or not. Predators already play by them. You deserve to know them too, not to manipulate innocent people, but to survive the world as it is. To protect yourself, if you stay with me now, you will discover how dangerous people across history use this law and how you can use it to shield yourself. Type in the comments, "I choose power over permission." Now let me show you how the most dangerous people in history applied this law and how you can protect yourself starting today. You stand in a crowded room of ambition. You work harder, deliver results faster, solve problems before they emerge. Yet your boss, your master, barely glances at your effort and instead praises someone else who played it safe, stayed small, felt harmless. You never meant to outshine. But by shining, you triggered fear. In that light, you became visible. And visible people get dethroned. Serving silently means this: you carry weight, you hold results, you build value, but you do it in a way that makes the master look solid. You become the ballast they never knew they needed. Not the thunder, but the roots. Not the spotlight, but the ground beneath their throne. Machiavelli made clear that the choice of servants is crucial to a prince's strength. Those who support his rule with loyalty and discretion become the bedrock of his power. Those who draw attention to themselves threaten it. Listen close. Human ego is fragile. Success for someone above you often demands that you appear just competent enough and never capable enough to be a threat. When you speak too loudly with brilliance, propose sweeping changes, or flaunt your skill, you ignite their alarm. Instead of gratitude, you get surveillance. Instead of respect, you get subtle sabotage. But here is where it gets dangerous. You don't have to dim your competence. You only have to bury it in the service of someone else's ego. Let their victory be your shadow. Let their spotlight be your canvas. Let them shine, while you preserve your value behind the scenes. Consider a modern case. A mid-level project manager at a fast-growing tech company notices inefficiencies. Instead of organizing an overhaul and demanding credit, he quietly reworks the workflow, tests the improvements under the radar, then submits clean reports showing performance gains. The executive praises the department for meeting targets. The manager stays unknown. The department gets stronger. The manager becomes indispensable. No envy, no threats, just silent dominance. Compare that outcome to a peer who loudly presents a revolutionary plan, highlights their role in rescuing failing teams, demands recognition. That peer draws eyes. People begin to watch. Opponents whisper. So-called allies frown. The peer becomes a target, not because of incompetence, but because of exposure. And once you are a target, your skill matters less than your vulnerability. Psychologically, this works because people in power experience success less as the result of raw talent and more as the illusion of control, stability, and safety. When their subordinates shine too brightly, it threatens their own sense of sovereignty. The mind of a leader recoils from potential shadows. Better to stay with what feels safe, mediocre brilliance that flatters rather than challenges. Meanwhile, by positioning yourself as invisible strength, you avoid the jealousy, the traps, the backstabs. You move carefully, never louder than the ruler's voice, never larger than the throne allows. You become the silent engine behind the visible face. You survive, you endure, you gain trust, and, over time, your influence grows quietly deep. Yet remember, silent service can be weaponized by others. A master who senses growing loyalty around you might cut you off, isolate you, or replace you with someone more controllable. You must stay alert, stay loyal when loyalty serves you, but stay ready when loyalty becomes the chain that binds you. Use this lesson as shield first. Let your competence feed the master's ego. Let results speak of your value. Quietly, indirectly, invisibly, stay in the shadows until your time to emerge becomes inevitable. Never confuse silence with weakness. Silence is stealth. Silence is security. Silence is your camouflage in a world where showing strength too soon invites destruction. Stay quiet, stay effective. Keep the master comfortable while you build power beneath the surface. Remember, the roots that grow unseen are the ones that hold up the tallest trees. You have felt it before, that tension in the air when you walk into a room and your ideas land too well, your presence hits too strong, your success glows a little too brightly beside someone with more authority. You think you are being impressive, but to the master above you, you are becoming a risk. And risks get removed long before they become real threats. Borrowed brilliance is the antidote to that danger. It is the art of shining through another person's light so skillfully that they feel stronger because of you, never weaker. Machiavelli warned rulers to keep advisors who make them appear wise, not advisors who appear wise on their own. The moment an advisor shines brighter than the prince, both the court and the people question who truly holds power. The same rule applies today in offices, in studios, in boardrooms, in every digital arena where ambition breathes. Here is how the mind works beneath the surface. Every powerful person lives with a silent fear that someone younger, sharper, hungrier will steal their influence. You do not have to threaten them openly. You only have to look like you might. And brilliance is threatening when it is not framed as loyalty. Borrowed brilliance turns your talent into a gift that makes the master feel elevated rather than replaced. You do it not by hiding your intelligence, but by channeling it. When a master pitches an idea, you refine it quietly, polish it discreetly, present it as their vision enhanced. When a master seeks solutions, you bring options without demanding credit. When they step on stage, you provide the groundwork that makes them appear magnetic. Your fingerprints are everywhere, yet never visible, and because your fingerprints remain hidden, no one sees you as competition. But here is where it gets dangerous. If you use borrowed brilliance with resentment, you expose yourself. Bitterness leaks through your voice, your expressions, your posture. The master feels it. Borrowed brilliance only works when you understand the deeper strategy. You are building a foundation beneath them so that one day you can rise from it without resistance. Watch how this plays out in a modern setting. A talented strategist joins a media company and notices that the creative director loves bold, visionary ideas but hates being overshadowed. Instead of unveiling grand concepts alone, the strategist feeds the director seeds of innovation in private conversations. The director begins presenting those ideas as their own. earning praise and momentum from upper leadership. The strategist becomes the invisible engine. Others begin to trust their judgment, and because the strategist never competes publicly, the director grows dependent on them. This dependency becomes influence. That influence becomes leverage. Leverage becomes power. Now compare this with another employee who constantly tries to prove their genius. They interrupt meetings, pitch big ideas without aligning with leadership, and chase credit to validate themselves. They become a star in their own mind, but a threat in the eyes of power. Their rise burns too brightly, and bright flames are easy to extinguish. Psychologically, borrowed brilliance works because it resolves the core fear of powerful people, the fear of being replaced. When you present yourself as an enhancer rather than a rival, you become valuable, not dangerous. The master begins to see you as someone who increases their prestige, and people protect what increases their prestige. But you must never let borrowed brilliance turn into permanent servitude. You use this strategy until the master's shadow is no longer tall enough to cover you. You use it until you gain the political capital, the network, and the insider knowledge to walk on your own. Then, when the moment arrives, you pivot with grace, not rebellion. Guard yourself with this boundary. Never attach your entire identity to someone else's flame. Their rise is your shelter, but their fall should not be your burial ground. Keep your own internal fire. Keep your own plans. Keep your own quiet ambition. Remember this. Borrowed brilliance is not submission. It is camouflage for your ascent. And like moonlight that outlasts the sun, your glow becomes most powerful when it travels through another's light. You already know the feeling. You walk into a meeting, deliver sharp insights, land every point, and instead of respect you feel a strange chill from the person above you. They should be grateful. They should be impressed. Instead, their ego flinches, and suddenly your talent becomes a quiet offense. This is why subtle ego massage exists. It is not the flattery of sycophants or the hollow praise of the weak. It is the strategic, precise softening of insecurity in the people who can decide your future with a single approval or a single suspicion. Machiavelli warned rulers that surrounded by resentment, they collapse. But he also warned advisors that a ruler who feels threatened becomes cruel, unpredictable, and destructive. The safest place is beside their pride, not above it. Subtle ego massage is the art of making powerful people feel secure enough to keep you close, rely on you, and never imagine you as a rival. Human psychology is woven from fragile threads of status, comparison, and fear. When someone above you senses that you are sharper, faster, or more capable, they begin a quiet internal calculation. Do they need you, or should they eliminate you? Ego massage interrupts that calculation. When you reinforce their sense of authority, when you allow them to feel wiser, more experienced, more visionary than you, their subconscious shifts. You no longer appear as a risk. You become the apprentice who strengthens their identity. But here is where it gets dangerous. If your flattery feels fake, rehearsed, or excessive, it will betray your intentions. Subtle ego massage is not about praise. It is about calibration. You speak less about their greatness and more about the clarity of their judgment. You compliment their foresight, not their personality. You acknowledge their experience, not their ego. You show respect in the way you listen, the way you defer, the way you present your ideas as extensions of their direction. Watch how this works in modern settings, in a creative agency. A junior strategist presents a concept that could reshape the entire campaign. Instead of claiming it boldly, they frame it with careful humility. Building on your earlier direction, I refined the structure to highlight your core message. The director feels affirmed, not overshadowed. The strategist's idea gets approved. And the relationship deepens because the director begins to trust their loyalty. Compare that to another strategist who walks in with the same idea but frames it as a personal breakthrough. The director's ego tightens, questions rise. The strategist suddenly feels resistance they never earned. It is not the idea that failed. It is the ego they failed to soothe. Psychologically, insecurity in leaders functions like a silent alarm system. Any sign of competition triggers the alarm. Your job is not to deactivate it. Your job is to avoid setting it off in the first place. Subtle ego massage tells the leader's subconscious, "You are in control. I support your path. Your status is safe with me." Once they believe this, your talent becomes an asset instead of a liability. But you must never confuse ego massage with servitude. You are not kneeling, you are navigating. You are not shrinking yourself, you are shaping their perception. When your subtle deference earns their trust, you begin to gain freedom. You get chosen for confidential projects. You get early information, you get influence without asking. The more secure they feel, the more room they give you. Still, you must guard your integrity. Never flatter someone you cannot trust. Never build the ego of someone who would destroy you the moment their insecurity spikes. Subtle ego massage protects you only when it is paired with awareness. Know who you are dealing with. Know what they fear. Know what they need to hear to remain calm around your growing capability. Here is the final truth. Powerful people do not want to feel challenged by those beneath them. They want to feel amplified. They want their authority to echo through the people they lead. Your strategic deference becomes that echo, and in time, when you rise beyond them, you do so without ever stepping on their pride. Remember this, ego is the softest part of every ruler. Learn to navigate it, and you walk through power without resistance. Ignore it, and you awaken storms you never intended to face. You already know how dangerous visibility can be. The moment people realize how much you can do, they begin to watch you. They study your patterns, they question your motives, they look for flaws in your execution. Visibility does not only attract praise, it attracts envy, suspicion, and sabotage. Earning invisibility means something deeper than hiding. It means building a way of moving that produces results without leaving trails that expose your intentions or your leverage. You become the quiet force that shapes outcomes, while everyone else is distracted by louder faces and noisier egos. Machiavelli warned that the most capable advisors are often eliminated when rulers begin to fear their growing influence. But the advisors who stay invisible, who work behind curtains, who produce victories without demanding recognition, become indispensable. Rulers cannot attack what they cannot see clearly, and they cannot destroy a force that they do not fully understand. Psychologically, humans fear what they cannot predict. So when you perform your work openly, when you announce your ambitions, when you show every tool you use, others begin to measure your potential. They compare it to their own, and when they sense you outpacing them, their ego triggers defense. Invisibility protects you from this. When your strength is not fully visible, the mind of the observer cannot categorize you as a threat. You become a harmless presence with powerful results, and nothing is more confusing to shallow minds than someone who succeeds without being seen climbing. But here is where it gets dangerous. Invisibility is not withdrawal. It is precision. You cannot appear lazy, detached, or passive. That form of invisibility makes you forgettable, and forgettable people never rise. You must show enough presence to be trusted, valued, and involved, but not enough brilliance to awaken fear. Earning invisibility is the art of controlling how much of your process the world sees. Only your final outcomes should be visible. Your methods should stay buried beneath silence. Consider how this works in a modern environment. A product designer at a tech company is tasked with rescuing a failing app feature. Instead of announcing a grand rebuild or constantly updating leadership about their breakthroughs, they work quietly. They gather user data, refine prototypes, and fix core issues without making noise. When the feature launches successfully, leadership praises the department for steady execution. Only a few insiders know the designer's true contribution. With this invisibility, the designer becomes powerful without attracting jealous rivals or insecure superiors. Now compare this with another designer who loudly positions themselves as the savior of the project. They post updates everywhere, speak in dramatic terms, and take ownership before results are even real. This person draws attention, they draw whispers. Colleagues begin to question their motives, not their work. And once you stir that pot, even strong results will not protect you. Attention warps perception, and perception can erase your accomplishments before they even settle into memory. Invisibility works because humans underestimate what they cannot map. When they cannot track your strategy, they assume you have none. When they cannot see your ambition, they assume you are harmless. And when they assume you are harmless, you gain freedom, you gain space to move. You gain the time and privacy to build leverage that no one notices until it is already too late to stop. But never mistake invisibility for isolation. The invisible player must still maintain connections. You must still show reliability. You must still speak just enough to remain relevant. Complete invisibility erases you from opportunity. Strategic invisibility protects you from sabotage while keeping you close to the corridors of power. You want to be present, but unreadable. Valuable but unthreatening, consistent but unpredictable in method. Protect yourself with this boundary. Never reveal your full capacity to anyone who has influence over your future. Let them see only the side that comforts their ego. Keep the sharper parts of yourself wrapped in silence until the day you choose to reveal them. Remember this: power grows best underground. Your roots must strengthen in the dark before your branches ever rise into the light. When you earn invisibility, you become the storm that forms far from sight, unstoppable by the time anyone realizes what you have become. You have goals, you have visions, you have the drive to climb. Yet, in the world of power, the loudest ambition is the easiest target. People who announce their intentions, who flash their desires like neon signs, get watched, they get critiqued, they get blocked. Masking ambition is not about hiding talent. It is about concealing the timing and trajectory of your moves, so no one perceives a threat before you are ready. This begins with observation. Watch your environment. Study your master, your peers, and the shifting alliances around you. Ambition that is not attuned to timing is dangerous. It makes you visible too soon, vulnerable before you are prepared. Timing is the silent weapon that converts patience into power. By waiting, you allow situations to unfold, errors to reveal themselves, and opportunities to accumulate in your favor. Machiavelli once warned that a prince must be both bold and cautious, knowing when to advance and when to retreat. This duality applies to ambition. If you move too early, you appear reckless. If you reveal too much, you create rivals. The skill lies in appearing content while quietly plotting your course. Your intentions must remain obscured. The world rewards the subtle strategist, not the brash one who shouts their future victories. Psychologically, this works because human beings fear what they cannot anticipate. When others cannot measure your moves, they default to inaction or miscalculation. When they assume your ambitions align with loyalty and not competition, they underestimate your potential. The mind of the powerful relaxes around someone who seems patient, supportive, and cautious. In this space, you can grow influence, gather allies, and gather critical knowledge without triggering defensive responses. Consider a modern example in corporate culture. A rising executive is deeply ambitious to lead a department. Instead of openly challenging her superior or highlighting her own superiority, she quietly takes responsibility for key projects, supports the boss's initiatives, and ensures her contributions are noticed only indirectly. She avoids aggressive self-promotion. Within a few years, when a leadership vacancy emerges, she is the obvious, trusted choice. No one resisted because no one felt threatened. She rose without creating enemies. Contrast that with an equally talented peer who constantly signals his intent for promotion. He takes credit loudly, critiques others subtly to showcase superiority, and constantly positions himself as the obvious successor. Colleagues watch him, competitors plan against him, and the boss becomes cautious. By exposing his ambition too soon, he invites resistance, envy, and sabotage. Timing is critical. You must calculate your moves like chess. Advance when your opponents are distracted, your master is confident, and your allies are aligned. Retreat when scrutiny rises, when envy forms, or when exposure could derail you. Patience becomes a strategy, not a passive state. Acting too soon or too visibly is a common pitfall. Restraint is your shield and your leverage. Yet, while masking ambition, you must remain visible enough to be recognized for your value. Invisibility does not mean obscurity. It means directing attention away from your ultimate goal, while allowing others to see your contributions in ways that reinforce their own confidence and ego. Your rise must feel natural, inevitable, and unthreatening. Never mistake patience for weakness. Calculated waiting, subtle maneuvering, and controlled visibility are the instruments of power. Conceal your intent. Reveal your capability indirectly. Let ambition bloom at the precise moment where action meets opportunity, where you are strongest and opposition is weakest. Your ascent should feel effortless to others and inevitable to yourself. Mask the climb. Disguise your desire. Move only when the conditions favor victory. Remember, the power that comes quietly and deliberately is far more secure than the power that demands attention before it is ready. You are not in a sprint. The race for power is a marathon, and impatience is a liability. Too many ambitious people rush forward, trying to make their mark before the terrain is ready, before the timing favors them. They shine too early, provoke envy, and stumble. Playing the long game is about endurance, strategic waiting, and letting events unfold while you quietly position yourself for maximum advantage. It is the art of lasting longer than those above you, of outliving the threats rather than confronting them head-on. Patience is not passive. It is active observation, careful calculation, and disciplined restraint. You continue to work, deliver results, and increase your value, but you do so in a way that does not threaten the existing hierarchy. You build loyalty, gather intelligence, and create influence that cannot be easily dismantled. The strongest players in history knew that a single misstep or premature display of brilliance could provoke retaliation. The long game requires a mindset of durability over immediate gratification. of subtlety over showmanship. Machiavelli wrote that it is safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But true longevity in power often comes from the patience to outlast rivals, to endure the trials of time, and to avoid unnecessary conflict. Those who cannot wait, who seek recognition immediately, often burn bridges and alert others to their ambition. By contrast, those who master patience become indispensable, quietly embedded within the structure of influence, able to act decisively when the moment is right. Psychologically, this works because people underestimate what they do not perceive. Your master, your competitors, and even your peers are focused on the present, on visible talent, on immediate results. They rarely consider the slow accumulation of influence, the silent strengthening of relationships, the invisible cultivation of trust. By staying in the background, you allow the environment to change in your favor. Small, consistent actions accumulate, like drops of water wearing away stone. Eventually, you find yourself in a position where others cannot ignore your power, yet you have provoked minimal resistance along the way. Consider a modern example in politics or business. A mid-level executive at a major corporation resists the urge to immediately challenge leadership or demand rapid promotion. Instead, she builds alliances across departments, mentors key team members, and ensures every success reflects well on the organization. Years later, when a senior leader retires unexpectedly, she is the obvious candidate, trusted, experienced, and unchallenged because she never triggered fear or envy prematurely. Her long game secured her rise more securely than any sudden display of talent could have. Contrast this with someone who aggressively seeks advancement from the start, criticizing decisions, promoting themselves relentlessly, and trying to outshine the boss. Others notice, gossip spreads, and enemies form. Opportunities are blocked. The individual might eventually get a promotion, but only after exhausting relationships, creating enemies, and risking exposure. The short game always carries hidden costs. The long game protects you while allowing the environment to align in your favor. Playing the long game also teaches restraint. You learn which battles to pick and which to avoid, when to act and when to remain unseen. Every interaction, every project, every display of competence is calculated for cumulative effect, not immediate reward. Patience becomes a power multiplier, enabling you to act decisively when timing is perfect, and to survive when conditions are hostile. Never confuse waiting with weakness. Those who endure quietly are often the strongest players in any arena. They outlast rivals, earn loyalty, and maintain influence without provoking unnecessary retaliation. Your ability to persist, to remain strategic over time, becomes a shield and a weapon, remember. The one who endures will always outshine the one who burns too brightly, too soon. Patience is your secret power, and the long game is your path to survival and eventual dominance. You have served in the shadows for years. You have built trust, proven competence, and strengthened the organization without ever drawing attention to yourself. Your master's reign has been steady, but now cracks are appearing. Mistakes emerge. Energy fades. Distractions multiply. Opportunities start to appear in subtle patterns. Only the patient observer can notice. Knowing when to strike is not about aggression, it is about timing, awareness, and the quiet pivot from supporting the master to stepping into a position of influence when the environment shifts in your favor. Striking too early is dangerous. If you move before the master shows weakness, you risk backlash, suspicion, or even being removed entirely. Striking too late means someone else claims the advantage, and your patience is wasted. The key is the delicate balance. Watch, measure, and act only when the conditions tilt toward inevitability. Your silent service has given you insight into the system, the people, and the vulnerabilities of those around you. Use that knowledge with precision. The pivot is subtle but decisive. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors the prepared mind, and that opportunity must be seized at the precise moment. The one who observes patiently, who understands the rhythms of power, who anticipates weakness before it is widely recognized, will find that the moment to act is not forced, but presents itself naturally, acting without preparation or foresight. Risks failure. Waiting too long risks irrelevance. Psychologically, this works because people are less vigilant when they trust you, while others may be scrambling, vying for attention, or positioning themselves for advancement. Your silent presence has earned credibility and lowered suspicion. Your actions, when timed correctly, appear natural, almost destined. The mind of the group interprets your move as organic, inevitable, and aligned with their expectations, not as a threat. This makes your ascent smoother and reduces resistance. Consider a modern corporate scenario. A talented strategist quietly supports her CEO, leading projects and mentoring team members without demanding recognition. Over time, the CEO's energy declines, and key decisions are deferred or mismanaged. She has already built alliances and proven her capability. At the right moment, she steps forward with a plan that consolidates power, aligns stakeholders, and positions herself as the natural successor. Because of her prior invisibility and patience, few resist, and her rise appears seamless. Contrast that with someone who attempts to take control prematurely. They make moves while the master is still strong, assert their dominance publicly, or try to accelerate succession. Others sense threat. Alliances form against them, and even if they succeed, they encounter resistance and resentment that slows their progress. Timing, not just ambition, dictates whether the move succeeds or fails. The long-term student of power understands subtle signals. A faltering confidence, small errors, shifting loyalties, and overlooked responsibilities are all indicators that the environment is ripe for action. The strike does not need to be dramatic. It is a careful, well-placed pivot that maximizes influence and minimizes risk. It is decisive yet controlled, a movement born of patience and observation rather than impulse. Never mistake patience for inactivity. Your entire preparation, your years of silent service, all lead to this pivot. The strike is your emergence, your shift from the background to influence, executed with precision, leveraging trust, relationships, and timing. The master's fade is your opportunity, but only if you recognize it, move strategically, and maintain your ethical shield. Remember, the one who strikes at the right moment does not appear threatening. They appear inevitable. Your quiet dominance comes from patience, insight, and impeccable timing. The pivot is both your weapon and your art. Wait, watch, and move when the moment demands it, because power favors the patient, the prepared, and the precise. You just absorbed 7 layers of law, one from the 48 laws of power, and now it's time to turn knowledge into action. Understanding these rules alone will not protect you, will not advance your position, and will not keep envy or danger from finding you. The real power comes when you apply what you have learned with care, precision, and patience. Knowledge dormant in your mind is powerless. Action awakens its force. Choose one lesson, the one that resonates with the situation you face right now. Focus on it exclusively for 7 days. Do not attempt to master all 7 lessons at once, because divided attention diminishes results. Let the chosen lesson embed itself deeply into your behavior. Observe how people respond when you act with subtlety, when your influence grows quietly, when your contributions appear natural rather than performative. Notice the shift in how authority figures trust you, how peers stop questioning your judgment, and how allies seek your guidance without ever realizing the depth of your preparation. Your presence becomes a stabilizing force, a hidden engine of influence. Use these lessons not to destroy those around you, but to defend yourself against the ruthless. Predators move without warning, without permission, and without ethics. You have the right to know the rules that govern their world. Applying these strategies equips you to navigate office politics, corporate hierarchies, and social dynamics. Without being crushed, it allows you to protect your reputation, maintain your advantage, and survive long enough to act when opportunity finally presents itself. Imagine a world where good people understand power as clearly as the ambitious and ruthless do. Integrity can coexist with strategic awareness. You do not have to sacrifice one for the other. Consider the two paths before you. You can remain a puppet, bowing to every ego, speaking only when spoken to, reacting instead of directing, or you can become a shadow, invisible yet indispensable, moving with purpose, timing every action with foresight, and quietly shaping outcomes without attracting unnecessary attention. This is not about controlling others. It is about refusing to be controlled, about ensuring that your skill, intelligence, and patience serve your interests while remaining ethically grounded. The shadow sees the game clearly, moves strategically, and survives unscathed. The puppet reacts, exhausts energy, and burns bridges. The choice is yours. Which version of yourself will you cultivate starting tomorrow? Remember that growth in power is iterative. Patience multiplies results. Subtlety shields you from envy. Timing amplifies your advantage. Loyalty when it serves you, discretion when it protects you, and visibility only when it strengthens your position. These are not tricks, they are survival strategies. Watch how history's most influential figures moved silently until the right moment. They survived and thrived, precisely because they understood when to act, when to wait, and how to remain unseen until the pivot became inevitable. If this speech has sharpened your mind, take one immediate action. Like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell. More insights into power, strategy, and the rules of influence are coming. Comment below which lesson struck you hardest, which principle you intend to practice first. Your engagement strengthens your understanding and begins the process of embedding these lessons into your daily life. Remember, power is most dangerous when it is hidden but fully prepared. Patience and observation are your shields. Discretion and timing are your weapons, and the one who moves invisibly yet decisively always outlasts the one who shouts their ambition too soon. Stay quiet, stay observant. Act only when the moment favors you. Final sign-off: stay shadowed, stay patient, stay inevitable. Your power grows in silence. Your influence moves unseen, and your timing will define your success.